I think the right way is for brands to really truly understand where that consumer attention is. You know, I think for too long businesses kind of look at the business next to them or the brand next to them on the shelf, and they're really worried that that's their competition and what's the competition doing and how can we do that better. For me, I think if you pay attention to what the consumer is interested in, you know, look at culture, really understand the culture that that consumer engages with, and how can you make your brand relevant to that, and how can your brand authentically play a role in their life. I think that's a much stronger place to come from rather than we've got a benefit we need to tell you about. Consumers don't like being sold to. You know, and with the rise of social media, of course, are social influencers, people who've grown a huge following by sharing their life, by sharing their lifestyle. And I think advertising will eventually move a lot more into how do you build relationships with these authentic social influencers who've created an audience, and how do I co-create film content or co-create conversations around my brand that are relevant to a consumer. Because it's coming from someone they know, someone they trust, and it's not just a hard sell. So I think that will become hugely important to us. I think product placement will become really important again. So, but I think in the right way. So not just James Bond drinking a glass of Macallan whiskey, but how can you actually have your product become a part of a story? You know, again, you know, with the rise of ad blocking, also what happens when the internet becomes pay-to-go ad-free. You know, I'm already paying Spotify not to listen to an advert. I'm already paying Netflix to be able to watch an entire series uninterrupted by advertising. So if businesses and advertising don't consider this, and if everything becomes pay-to-go ad-free, and if consumers are willing not to hear from brands, we're really going to have to think differently about how we do that.
We go back to printing and bus stops.
No, I don't think so. I think it will be this working with social influencers, working with authentic people. Blogging, I think, you know, getting your product into a film or an upcoming series and having it authentically be a part of the story so that consumers are aware about it in a way that genuinely interests them, because they'd much rather watch, you know, Ozark on Netflix than they would watch your advert break. I think there's really kind of like looking at the consumer and truly understanding their journey through a purchase decision and recognizing that people learn about brands or products or services in so many more ways. I think advocacy, so word of mouth between people and what we now call word of mouse, i.e. what people are sharing within social media and sharing online, is hugely important to brands. And I don't think enough companies and businesses are recognizing it yet. And I don't think that the answer is, you know, my little business just starting a Facebook page. I don't think that's enough. I think you really need to use all of the data that's available to us to understand who are the people talking about my brand passionately and what else do they talk passionately about, and how can my brand be relevant to that. I think will be important as we move forward. I think at the heart of any good advertising campaign, any good marketing, you know, strategy, is a true understanding and insight in the consumer. You know, we're lucky that we have fantastic tools that can give us an awful lot of data now, but behind that is still a human being using, you know, their own instincts and using, you know, that kind of that human check and face to ensure that something's correct. So we talk a lot about, I don't know if you ever saw the Pepsi Kendall Jenner ad that came out. Wasn't too long ago, a good couple of months ago now, but clearly somebody in a data department went and saw, okay, these people who are talking about Pepsi passionately, what else are they talking about? And they went, ooh, Black Lives Matter campaign in the US is a big thing. They talk about that. Ooh, and they're talking about the Kardashians. We should make an advert that uses all three of these things. And unfortunately, the advert was awful. It was hugely inauthentic. In essence, it was kind of a parody on Kendall Jenner being able to calm rioters by sharing a Pepsi with them. And it was just, it was awful. And they had to pull the advert within days of it launching. And it was fascinating for me because I thought that is somebody trying to do advertising by going, right, we've got a bunch of data, we really need to make an ad that answers and ticks all these boxes. But the human element of going, is this right? Does a soda really have a place in, you know, in this? And can we do this? And will it be received well? And they didn't test it. They didn't check it. So I think to your point, absolutely. I think, you know, at the end of the day, we can have all the data we want, all the technology we want. but the heart of a really good strategy or a campaign or an idea is really consumer insight, and I think that's so important. I think it's one of the things you'll see more of, certainly within marketing departments within brands, will be much more of a focus on insight and strategy and planning, and certainly within creative agencies as well. That investment in people who can interpret data in the right way is invaluable. I think the biggest thing our industry faces is really, changing the model of how we work, changing the way we work, changing the mindset of the creatives who are in our industry now. That, it's not just about talking about a brand or a product or a service, that we have to look at these alternative channels and these other ways of introducing brands to consumers. I absolutely think that, our industry needs to pay attention to culture. We really need to be culturally relevant, certainly as an agency, and certainly for our brands, the work we do has to be culturally relevant. Otherwise, none of us are going to have jobs in 5-10 years' time. I think there's definitely that piece. I think advertising and marketing as a whole needs to change its pricing model and its pricing system. Many agencies still charge by the hour per person with different rates. And what we noticed, certainly after the economic downturn we had in the UK around 2008 time, is that clients weren't happy to pay for all of the hours, for every single hour. And actually, I think, what do clients value? What do businesses value? They value ideas, but how do you price an idea? It's so difficult. It's so difficult to do, and I don't know the answer, but I think as an industry we need to evolve the way that we're valuing ourselves financially. And I think we need to start providing a lot more ROI to clients. So too many people go, I've got a great idea, here you go, we'll put it out there, and then aren't concerned about the rest of the business picture in terms of how did it perform, what return on investment did I get for that spend, have I actually driven sales, have I actually done the things I should have done. We can all count, that Facebook video got 1,000 likes, fantastic, but did it actually change anybody's perception of the brand? Did anybody actually take action and go and search for the brand? Did they put it in their shopping basket? Did they tell a friend about it? Those metrics I think really need to be considered, and how we measure them effectively is really important. So I think certainly for creative agencies and strategic creative agencies, it is about big ideas still, and it is about creativity, but I think it's that holistic business picture, and really changing ourselves from just being a creative studio that makes something to being an extension of a client's team. We want to be an extension of their marketing team and their marketing department, and we really want to have impact on businesses in the right way. And so we need to upskill people very quickly, I think, within our industry to do so.